What's up YouTube, how you doing? This is Mr. Tybox123 and in this video I'm going to be bringing you my review of the BlackBerry PlayBook. Now you can pick this up in the UK now for around £250 for the 16 gig Wi-Fi version, and that is an absolute bargain for this tablet. So I mean, for those of you who don't want to spend the kind of money that it would require to get an iPad or an iPad 2, definitely have a look at the BlackBerry PlayBook because that really is a bargain for this particular tablet. So it comes in a nice little sort of vinyl case, really nice. At least they give you that for free, just keeps it in good condition when you're carrying it around and saves you having to invest in a case of your own, although there are obviously a whole load of third-party cases out there that you can buy for it, and that just slides in and out of the case quite easily. So in terms of the hardware specifications, it's got a dual core 1 GHz processor, it's got a gigabyte of RAM, it's a 7-inch screen, and that is actually a 1024 by 600 pixel screen. So let's just have a little bit of a tour around the hardware of the device. So on the front, we've got a front-facing full HD 1080p camera, and that is a really nice front-facing camera. It's just 3 megapixel camera, absolutely superb to have on a tablet. And in fact, the camera on the front of this is pretty much better than most of the ones that you find on the back of most tablets. So absolutely fantastic with that. Another really good design on the BlackBerry PlayBook is the fact it's actually got the speakers on the front of the tablet. So rather than having them on the side or underneath or around the back, it's got them on the front, and it really does give quite a good sound experience. In fact, probably better than any other tablet that I've experienced, including the HP touchpad, which has got the Beats by Dre audio built into it. So that again is a really nice feature. On the top, we've got some various media playback buttons along with volume up and down, and also the very tiny power button as well on the top, although you don't have to use that very much, but it is a very small button. We've also got stereo microphones, fantastic sound quality as well from these different stereo microphones, and then also on the top we've got our 3.5mm headphone jack. On the bottom, we've got a 3-pin dock connector along with a micro HDMI output which can output at full 1080p, along with a micro USB as well for connecting this up to a computer. You can actually connect this wirelessly to your computer and do full synchronization and move files around as well over a Wi-Fi connection, which is again is a fantastic feature. It comes in 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte versions. This one is the 16 gigabyte version. I probably won't use it in terms of media as much as I would with the iPad 2, so not so much need to go with a higher capacity device. And finally on the back, we've got the BlackBerry logo, and then also we've got a 5 megapixel camera, and that again records up to 1080p. So full 1080p on the front and full 1080p on the back. And these cameras really are absolutely fantastic, and like I said, so is the sound quality as well whilst recording. The photos are also really good as well. So the cameras on this tablet definitely, I would say, outperform any other that is out there at the moment. Definitely outperforming the iPad 2 in terms of camera functionality, both in video and photo as well. So let's have a look at the software now on the BlackBerry PlayBook. The operating system is actually called QNX, and it's very similar to WebOS on the HP touchpad in a lot of regards. So once you've got the device and it's in the standby mode, again, don't have to worry too much about the tiny little power button, because you can simply swipe up to unlock the tablet and get into the operating system. Now once you're in, along the bottom you've got your most kind of commonly used applications or icons, and you can move those around in any way you like by simply holding them down for a little while like you do on the iPad and the iPhone, and then you can just simply drag those to wherever you want. If you want to move something into favourites, you just simply drag it to the favourites bar at the top, and then that will then be in your favourites from there on forward. Now, the BlackBerry PlayBook, the bezel is completely touch sensitive all the way around the outside. So when you're doing gestures, you can actually use the outside of the bezel to do some of those gestures. So if we want to expand all of our applications and settings here, we just simply swipe up from the bottom, and that brings us into all of our icons, and we can have full access to everything that we want to in the All menu there. We can scroll up and down very simply. If we want to go to the next screen, i.e. the favourite screen, we can go from the right hand side of the bezel and just simply slide that along, and then we get into our favourites. And like I said, you can add and remove from the favourites simply by dragging icons into it. We can then go into media, where we've got the usual pictures, music, camera, videos, etc, etc, along with things like the BBC iPlayer, which is a nice little touch there. Again, we can swipe along and we've got games, and then again we've actually got BlackBerry Bridge as well. Now BlackBerry Bridge is a really nice feature, but it's one that's kind of come about from a lack of functionality in the BlackBerry PlayBook, and that lack of functionality is the fact that it doesn't have an inbuilt mail client, which is a massive downside to the BlackBerry PlayBook. Now when version 2 comes out of the OS in February later in the year, we're definitely going to get the new mail client along with a whole load of new features, so that's going to be a massive improvement on the PlayBook. But going back to BlackBerry Bridge, what this does is it actually connects up over Bluetooth to your BlackBerry handheld device, and then you can actually synchronize and use synchronously the messages, contacts, browser, calendar, and you can even use BBM as well on your PlayBook, which is a very nice piece of functionality, and that just goes out all through your mobile phone. You've then got memo pad, tasks, and also you can swap files between the two devices, and this really does work fantastically well. Really nice feature, but like I say, it's kind of come about because this functionality should be there already, plus it should have its own inbuilt mail client. But this does semi make up for it, so long as you've got obviously a BlackBerry mobile phone. Now again, if we want to come back to the home screen, we can always swipe up. That always takes you back to the home screen, or if you've got a full screen application open, you can actually just swipe down from the top, and that will always bring up all of your settings. Now if you're on the home screen, it brings up all of the settings that you've got in terms of the device itself. We'll just take a quick flick through those. We've got airplane mode, Wi-Fi, you've got software updates that come over the air, which is nice. You've got Bluetooth, and you can see there that my BlackBerry 9900 is actually connected to that for BlackBerry Bridge. You've got the BlackBerry Bridge configuration itself. You can tether as well. You've got configuration for the screen, HDMI, sounds, you've got the general, and in the general settings you've got the application behavior, and underneath the application behavior you've got 3 ways of deciding how the multitasking works. Showcase means that when you change applications, everything still continues to run in the background exactly as you left off. So if you're watching a movie, you can flick to that, and then if you start going around other applications, your movie is going to continue to run, and you're going to continue to hear it through your headphones or through the speakers. You've then got the default one, which means that whilst you're in an application, it runs. When you actually minimize the application into a card, it continues to run, but the minute you switch over to a new application, it's going to pause the one that you were in before. And then you've got paused, which is fantastic for battery life and performance, which means that as soon as you go into the multitasking, it means that it's going to pause that application immediately. But really nice that you can actually choose exactly how you want the multitasking to work. You've got storage and sharing, where you can actually configure the Wi-Fi file sharing and also the connection to your PC. You've got security with all the typical security stuff in there, language and keyboard. And whilst we're talking about the keyboard, this device has a really nice keyboard. It works really well in both portrait and landscape. It's nice and responsive, and I've probably found this next to the iPad to be one of the nicer keyboards in the way that it actually gives you a kind of little bit of feedback when you actually click some of the buttons on the keyboard itself. Now in terms of the browser, it's got a reasonably nice browser on it. It's got tabbed browsing, and it also has full flash support as well for those of you who like to use full flash support. It's kind of small with the 7-inch screen, especially if you go into portrait mode, things kind of get a little bit cramped up, but most definitely usable. And the advantage of the 7-inch screen is that it's so much easier to carry around. You can literally just kind of put this in your pocket and take it around with you. And I've actually been using this quite a lot for watching live TV on using tvcatchup.com. So the browser is nice. It's got all of the usual functionality, the pinch to zoom, the flash, etc, etc. And overall gives you a reasonably nice experience. But I do feel that the screen size slightly lets it down in terms of the browsing experience. At the top, we've got various little kind of status bar icons. We've got Bluetooth, we've got Wi-Fi, we've got the battery usage, and then we've got the full settings, which does the same thing as swiping down from the top when you're in the home screen, and we've also got a button for the orientation lock as well. In terms of the App Store, there's definitely a whole range of applications in here now. We've got things like standard Twitter clients, Facebook clients, and the applications that are in there are building on a daily basis, and there's a lot more than you might imagine in the BlackBerry app world. So definitely a good one there. One of the things that let the touchpad down was the applications, and the BlackBerry PlayBook has definitely got a whole load more applications for it than the HP touchpad, for example. Now, it's not going to have as many as the Android Marketplace or the iTunes App Store, but definitely probably third on the list there, and probably getting reasonably close to those two in terms of the main applications that you would use on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, my opinion on the BlackBerry PlayBook: I never expected to like it as much as I do. It's really nice, the form factor that you can just put it in your pocket and carry it around if you don't want to, put your iPad in a bag and carry that around, for example. Choosing between the two would be a very difficult thing. You've really got to look at probably base it upon what screen size you want and what kind of access to applications you want. But if you do want a definitely cheaper device than the iPad 2, I would highly recommend the BlackBerry PlayBook. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave you now with some footage from the front and the back camera on the BlackBerry PlayBook, just to show off probably, I think, its best feature, and with the form factor it's actually fairly usable as well, and just take a listen to the sound quality. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. See ya. So here we are guys, this is recording off of the rear of the BlackBerry PlayBook camera at full 1080p, so make sure you're watching this in 1080p. And I'm just in a normally lit room, so no kind of fantastic lighting or anything in here, just literally a kind of normally lit room. So in fact, in clear daylight, the camera on here is actually significantly better than this. But just to show you guys a basic understanding of the quality of the camera, this is it. What I'm going to do now as well is I'm just going to play some music, just so you can get a better feel for the sound quality of the microphones on the BlackBerry PlayBook as well, and then I'll flip to the front camera and we'll see how that one performs as well. So that's it guys, there you go, a little test there of the camera quality and the sound quality, and I'll see you all in the next video.